Welcome to Your Cyber Path, the podcast that helps you get your dream cybersecurity job by sharing the secrets of experienced hiring managers and top cybersecurity professionals with you. Now, on to the show.
Now, there's a really practical example and relevant recent example that I want to talk about. This started in November of 2021, and this actually affected the security tools that I use. And I think it's a really great example to help people really understand the modern implications of economy and mechanism and why it's still relevant today. So in November of 2021, there was a security researcher who had discovered and published that he had been looking at the LastPass Android app. And what he found was 7 embedded activity trackers. So he was doing code analysis. I think he was sniffing, network traffic, and he found this. And it turned out that of those 7 trackers, one of them was being used to gather data about the user of the app. And you start pulling out a thread, and what he found out is that LastPass was taking that data and it was using it to sell targeted ads, so that when you use the free version of their app, you would see advertisements for different things. And that was how LastPass was monetizing the fact that you were using it for free, as they were turning you into the product. Now, okay, so we could talk about, how that violates privacy and so on and so forth. And I think, there's a whole dimension there of troublesome, stuff. But the real issue for me was I'm using LastPass as a security mechanism. LastPass put this code in there that had nothing to do with making the security mechanism better. In fact, they violated the economy of mechanism principle, right? We talked about this, you and I. And so what was, from your point of view, Jason, how would you describe the risk that this security mechanism had this tracking code in it?
Yeah, for me, the big risk there is not the privacy issue or concern, as you said, but for me, it's really the fact you have this extra code, and every piece of extra code is something else that can be exploited, right? I see this a lot with a lot of different software as a service applications. The game here seems to be like, let's make as many features as possible. So if I've got an online word processor, I'm going to make it so I can have font colors and font sizes and highlights and strike throughs. And you know what? Let's go ahead and add in the ability to draw graphics in there too. And let's put tables in there. Let's do markup and markdown and all these different things. And by the time you look at something like Microsoft Word, you now have 1,000 different features. Well, that's 1,000 different buckets of code that are all there. And for me, for instance, I never use the mail merge feature in Word, but there's a vulnerability in there because that is now a piece of code that could be attacked by somebody. And so when you're looking at the software, more is not always better. Sometimes less is more, and less is more secure.
Especially if you're talking about a security tool. Now, in the case of a word processor, what that means is that I have to apply security patches for functionality I never use. And wouldn't it be nice if I could just, sort of tick the boxes on the install and say, I don't want all this stuff, right? Uncheck, 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 uncheck. And then I don't have to, be worried about patching stuff that I don't use. But when you're talking about a security mechanism, like a password manager, it only exists to secure passwords, right? And so as a security professional, I was offended, actually, that the makers of a security piece of software thought that this was okay. It told me that the people that were in charge did not understand these principles, that they must not have even known that they exist. And so for me, I was like, nope, I'm out of here. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go to another password manager that doesn't do this. And even if I have to pay some money, which I do, I'm happy to pay for an attack-resistant password manager because that's its purpose in life. And so that's what I do. That's what I do is I pay for it so that I don't have to have this extra code. Now, it turns out that this was released to the public. And so you can go and you can actually, read some articles about this. And the thing is that LastPass was just like, meh, we don't care. We're going to keep doing this. So even though the security community said to them, hey, let's give you a little, let's help you here, right? What you're doing is not a good idea. Here's why. Explained it, and they didn't care.